Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, you guys, the e-mobility executives, you know how this works, gentlemen? So the Hubject platform will ask you questions. And at the end, the platform will choose the best company to be on the Hubject platform. So right now, let's bring out the Hubject platform. Alrighty. So, hello, e-mobility executives. Buenos dias. Salvos. Hello. So, Hubject platform, please introduce your services. Well, thank you, Mr. Announcer. My name is the Hubject platform, and I function as a marketplace for innovative e-mobility services. We have over 300 B2B partners in 26 countries, and our partners include charge point operators, e-mobility service providers, OEMs, automotive manufacturers, data companies, and we include them all onto our platform. We have them in over 26 countries, and we hope to add a few more today. So, let's get started with the question, shall we? My first question is more of a request. To each of you, would you please say your name in a heavy American accent? Start with e-mobility executive number 2.
Oh, number 2. It's you.
So I'll say my name in a very American accent. My name's Gideon van Dijk. I'm actually called Van Dijk, but that's very American. I feel like I'm in a 60s game show.
You are in a game show. Who didn't tell you weren't in a game show?
So who's next?
Number 1.
Hi, everybody. I'm Carlos Carmona. I'm a manager from GIC, a CPO from Spain. And I'm so pleased to be here with you and this fantastic audience. So,
okay, if
hola.
is that your best American accent of saying your name?
Hello, this is Carlos from GIC.
Right! Bravo! All right, and number 3?
Hi, I'm Christian Lang from Chargery.
Christian Lang, all right. Well, let's just not make this so impersonal. So, herzlich willkommen, Witz komm heraus, du bist umsingelt. Having a little bit of fun. So, moving on to my next question, would you please tell me about about your services in 90 lines of code or less? Starting with number 3, 2, 1, go.
Well, GIC is a company that works in services for the smart city and renewable energy. We are installer of charging points in Spain since 9 years ago. We push for interoperability and the EV adoption in our city, and we have developed a platform that manages the charging points in Barcelona, Madrid, and other cities with mobile apps and so on.
I need to make sure I can hear you.
Well,
Voila. Muy bien.
So, well,
Perfect.
Our company is the normal company that manage charging points in cities and works for OEMs, installing in the customer houses. And we are pushing for EV mobility very strong with passion.
Bravo. E-mobility executive number 2.
I work at Chargetrip. We make it easy for normal people and for normal businesses to switch to electric mobility. We solve a couple of adoption barriers of what we think is a broken charge ecosystem. We're talking about range anxiety, we're talking about charge anxiety, and we're talking about the complexity of owning an entire electric fleet. So we make predictive models and range algorithms to solve these things, and we do that through a SaaS platform. We offer this to telematic providers, to automotives, and to charge point operators.
Chargery is a mobile charging service for electric vehicles, and it means we turn the tables so the car doesn't need to come to the charging station, the station comes to the car. And therefore we developed the mobile charging station, which is constructed on an electrified bicycle trailer. So if you order charging from us, the charging station comes with the bike to the car and is parked next to the car, and the car gets charged. And further, we offer a lot of additional services when we are at the car once. So we also offer interior cleaning or some maintenance stuff, for example, for shared fleets, which are our biggest customers.
Wow, that's great. So they're on the back of a bike?
Yeah, it's a trailer on a bike, so you just put it at the bike and then drive through the city.
Very good. Mobile executive number 2. Your services claim to reduce range anxiety, which is one of the biggest hurdles for a lot of people when they buy a car. So how does your service enable to release some of the range anxiety?
How does it enable to solve it? After
How
range
does it,
anxiety,
yes.
is that okay? Yeah, so we see range anxiety doesn't exist, right? So on paper, we've already fixed it. I'm sure that everyone in this room that knows a lot about battery technology knows. So, we can travel, most of the journeys that we do, we can support with the current battery tech. So it's up here, right? People have range anxiety, and it's still the number one reason why people won't buy an electric car, but it's actually a symptom of a larger problem, which is just not knowing what's happening in the charge ecosystem. Right, so people need to know where they're able to charge, when it's available, if it's operational, whether they can pay with the current roaming options that they have. They need to know if there's something to do in the area, because you're going to be there for 40 minutes. So range anxiety is a much bigger problem than just being scared of running out of a charge. What we do is we offer predictive routing. So we tell people where to charge, when to charge, for how long to charge, what's available. We'll tell them if you've got kids in the back of the car, then you need to charge there because there's a playground. And if you're hungry in the middle of the day, then you need to charge there. Oh, and by the way, here's a deal for a restaurant. Right, so we try to optimize that whole journey and make sure that it's just as easy as driving an ICE vehicle. That's how we combat range anxiety.
So if just by chance they didn't make it to their destination, could Chargery come to the rescue? Pedal to the rescue?
Well, you'd have to integrate with our API, but then let's do it. Actually, there's this really interesting quote. And so there's a guy, a top executive from Hyundai, a couple of months ago. I think it was at a conference in Canada. He said, so we got this great new service to combat range anxiety. If you ever run out of a charge with your Ioniq, just park it next to the highway, and we'll send another Ioniq with a battery in it that charges it for 20% to get you on your way again. And I'm thinking, oh man, there's something wrong with this industry if that's the best we could come up with. But with these batteries that you're providing on the back of bicycles, that's perfect for inner city, but just not for highways, I think.
So, e-mobility executive number 1. So, we're the Hubject platform. So, why is it that we should? Why should the platform, date Rich?
You mean with Hubjet?
Yes. Why should we be dating?
Well, we have a very passionate relationship with Hubjet since a few years ago. We were the first boyfriend of Hubjet, or girlfriend, in Spain.
Wow.
We start pushing for interoperability, but also the agreements that we have with OEMs in order to show in their maps and their systems our charging stations. That was promoted by BMW, and they introduced us Hubjet, and since then we've been collaborating in the past years. So I'm sure the good things are coming, and now we are thinking about the next steps of our relationship.
Oh, that's sounding, on the dating game, that sounded, careful. So e-mobility executive number 3, you offer on-demand charging. What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, as I said, we are having a mobile charging service. So, for example, our biggest customers are car sharing providers. They have today different solutions to charge their cars. So one solution is that a customer charges a car on its own, but actually it never happens. The second solution is that they have service providers who drive the cars to charging stations. And with us, they can park the cars anywhere in the urban area and leave it there. And then the bike courier from us drives with the mobile charging station to the car, parks it next to the car on the sidewalk, and the car gets charged fully. And of course, we can add, as I said before, additional services, which is also very attractive for them.
And I suppose because it's a bike and on the sidewalk, you don't have to have certain go through regulations or approval because it's a bike and it can probably park on the sidewalk.
Yeah, that's true. But actually, we are also talking to the cities that is okay for them. But we don't need any regulations. That's true.
So staying on the sense of e-mobility and scalability, Thomas, the CEO, Thomas Zyber, spoke about this in startups. So scalability is something that's very important in startups. And e-mobility executive number 3, how do you plan to scale your solution as a startup?
Yeah, that's we are working therefore with strong partners. So, for example, we are not using one big battery. We are using a lot of small swappable batteries. There are 12 swappable batteries in one charging station from us, and we're working together with a partner who builds up swapping infrastructure. So we do not need to install our own charging infrastructure. We just use their infrastructure to scale our business. That's one example.
Well, just as these are a little bit dynamic, so is the Chargetrip platform. This is, we don't want to overheat the platform, so we're going to reduce a little bit of the energy that is needed. Let's move to the other end of the spectrum a little bit. So e-mobility executive number 1, you are one of the biggest e-mobility service providers in Spain. What could you offer other players on our platform?
Okay, so as I told you, we are a company that manages the mobility in the cities, the traffic systems that controls all the traffic lights, buses, public transportation, and so on, is developed by our company. So if we join together the information in real time of what's happening in a city, plus all the infrastructure for electric vehicles. So what we have developed, it's apps for the users that introduce a lot of KPIs at not only the location or the tool to start a charging session, okay? So that's why we believe that it's a matter of getting together all the things that happen in mobility to improve the experience of the users.
Great. And anything that helps add into the access of charging infrastructure and the way that people are getting around we're very happy to have that on the platform, so thank you. So moving on, e-mobility executive number 2. What benefits does your EMP solution bring to CPOs on our platform?
So we're an EMP, so we provide services to the electric mobility market outside of payment, which I think is just the big difference between CPOs and EMPs. So what we do, we route about 40,000 people to date. So we're only live in the Nordics at the moment, but we're going south. One of the interesting things that we do with the data is that we make predictive models out of it. And some of these predictive models are really interesting for CPOs because they can optimize your business case. Right, so what we do is we look at charge station congestion, for example, and this is something that's really going to be really important for most CPOs. So you have all these concessions where you have charging stations, but you see that some of them are used a lot during peak times, and some of them are not used at all because they're concessions that are outside of corridors. We optimize the dispersion of traffic over those stations. So we're able to make predictive models for traffic, so for congestion at charge stations, but also price volatility in the energy market. So with all the data we get back, we make these models and we sell them back to the industry.
And where are you getting your inputs from?
Where we get the data from?
Yeah.
So we get it from drivers, we get it from umbrella databases, we get it from the community themselves, so we harvest it as well. So at the moment, we're getting it from about 40,000 people, but we're also making deals with CPOs and with companies like Hubject to get data from.
Mm-hmm. So it can be a win-win-win situation.
it's going to be a marriage, man.
We
dating.
agree.
It's
We
a
agree. We love it.
marriage.
That's the marketplace. Try and make it everybody, so we make it good for everybody,
I
especially
think
the
it's
end
like-
user.
Yeah, it's the end user, but it's sort of, we have this big pie that we're in the biggest transition of our lives. We have this massive pie. We don't know how big it is, so let's not fight for the pieces. Let's just join forces and have data transparency and use that data to make it better for the end consumer. That's our mission.
So turning around a little bit in terms of what you can give, what are you looking for from the platform?
Data, right? So we're looking for, in like the last 9 to 10 months, there's just one thing that I found important for electric vehicle drivers, and it's real-time dynamic station data. POI data doesn't really matter. Amenity data doesn't really matter. The one thing we can do to make it better for people driving electric cars, to make it come close to the experience they're used to of driving ICE cars, is having real-time dynamic station data. So Hubject is, of course, one of the partners where you can get real-time dynamic station data. I also think there's a lot of CPOs and also roaming platforms that have a lot of work to do on real-time dynamic station data. It's not perfect yet, but that's definitely what we're looking for.
E-mobility executive number 3. So if I understand, so your fixed costs for your services might be a little bit higher than those of classic chargers. If yes, how are your prices reflecting this?
Actually, it's not that much higher. Even it is lower because, from the technical point of view, it consists of more or less the same things. And of course, we have batteries in it. That's maybe a little bit higher price, but our charging stations, they don't need to have any groundworks, any electricity adjustments. So I think it's more or less the same. But of course, we have to pay the guy who drives to the car. But with route optimizations and combined with other services, it's not that much higher.
And so how do they actually pay?
Today, we are only operating for business customers, so they pay per use today.
Pay per use. And
Yeah.
how much would an average, 20...
Yeah, actually, you don't talk about business price,
We're in a dating, so are you going to pay for dinner then?
Yeah, sure.
So back to sangria time. E-mobility executive number 1. I've heard something about Silva. Can you explain what that is? In a German accent.
Guten Tag.
Ausgezeichnet. Super! Ja!
A grosse Bier, bitte.
2 Bier bitte. Ein 2 Seidel.
Well, Zero
Leider.
Project. Zero Project is an European project. We have been participating, it's a 4 years European project. And the objective is to communicate France with Portugal. It happens that Spain is in the middle. So
It got in the way somehow. Those Basques.
yeah, we got there a few years ago. Basically, it's to find the right locations with 5 partners, that we are the 5 main CPOs in Spain, and the support of some OEMs. What we are doing is to define the best locations, the best technology, and the interoperability between these 5 partners, in order to show to the other market that this is possible, this is good, and this is necessary. Okay? Interoperability, of course, is developed with our Hubjet agreement, and the other 4 CPOs have joined our family.
Great.
Yeah.
So how many charge points are there?
40.
40. And what are your plans for end of this year, end of next year?
This is about the European project, okay? Of course, we have the strategy of increasing our charging point network in the main cities in Spain, and also changing slow charging and AC charging for DC charging in the main locations. The number is a matter of, I always say that the good thing is to have a good rate of the market, okay? Because maybe 80 is a lot for Andorra,
Yeah.
but
So, e-mobility executive number 2, getting a little technical. What variables does your route planning algorithm take into account?
Oof, that's like asking for prices, huh?
Well, it's in a roundabout way.
Yeah. So we take about, so if you're talking about the routing algorithm, so we got specific endpoints. We got predictive endpoints, but also routing algorithm endpoints. We only use that if we don't have an OBD dongle installed into the car. So if we can tap straight into the car and get state of charge and battery temperature from the car, we don't use that algorithm. If we do, we simulate it, and we're really good at it.
How often do you get that data point?
How often do we get it from the car?
Yeah.
Only if people have an OBD dongle installed in it. We have a partnership with a Canadian company that delivers these specifically for electric vehicles. So once we have them in there, we're super accurate at planning. If not, back to the algorithm. So the variables that we use about 15. Most of them are external. So if we get it from the car, then we have those from the car in addition to those 15. They include everything from topography, altitude mapping, weather patterns, temperature. If we can simulate, we simulate driving style. And there's a whole lot more.
So it sounds like you like to, is that geeking out? As a platform, I love to geek out.
Well,
we can talk OICP, we can talk OCPP 1.6, 2.0. I love it. And don't even get me started on the standards, my God. So let's talk commitment, right? So who of you have an EV? I do. One? Wow, this could make it easy at the end of the game, right?
I drive a 6-cylinder BMW i3. Sorry, 3 Series, not i3, 3 Series.
In the audience,
it's
how many of you have an EV? Maybe a third, maybe a little bit more.
So I don't eat meat, right?
You what?
So I don't eat meat. So I drive a 6-cylinder, but I don't eat meat.
Thank God
Which
for that.
might actually be the better option at the moment.
Just an experience. Last Saturday, we have in Madrid a concentration of EV cars in the main street in La Castellana. We were about 300 vehicles, okay? So I was driving with my little daughter in the car, and she asked me that when I be 18 and I have my driver license, I probably will have an electric vehicle, right? And I told her no. And she was, no, come on. No, you are going to have 2,000 or 3,000 because there are 5 car sharing companies in Madrid, and I'm not going to buy the car. You'll have an IPP. So that's what happened.
Yeah, it's definitely the autonomous vehicles and the whole disruptive mobility space is changing. You guys are adding to that, I think, in a very productive way. Clearly, we've heard a lot of speakers talking about the growth of electric vehicles and how everybody here is helping to proliferate that. But I do agree that it's going to be an interesting turn in the future when you have such companies like Uber and Lyft and other TNCs that are allowing it to get someplace probably cheaper than what it actually is to own your own car. But I think it might be a little bit longer, but at least we'll be in beautiful cars too, I hope. Definitely.
Yeah, and I think I'd like to add to that, if that's okay.
Please.
So, it's really important that we start driving electric, but it's much more important that the whole logistics industry starts to drive electric, right? So electrifying fleets and electrifying the logistics industry is where we can make the real gains, in my opinion.
And e-mobility executive number 3. So you are, I understand, trying to use green energy.
Yes.
So how do you guarantee that you are using, that you're getting green energy and giving that to your clients?
So at our charge points where we charge the small batteries, we have contracts with energy supply who guarantee to deliver only green energy. I think it's really important. It's not only important for us. It's really important that the whole e-mobility industry thinks like this, because if they don't do it like this, I think e-mobility is more or less senseless, because like if you just use normal energy, it's bullshit. Yeah.
Do you think you're able to get a premium because you're serving your clients with green energy?
Could be, yeah. Why not?
The what?
I was just saying, it should just be the standard, right? You shouldn't have to pay more for it, but...
Well, only right now because it probably is.
It's true. Yeah,
It's a
it's
little
true.
bit more. I agree. I think that also in, let's say, blockchain, it could be a way for people to be able to know exactly where they're getting their energy from. But let's say even getting technical again with you have ISO 15118 allows for smart charging. Have any of you in Spain, is there any initiative of including ISO 15118 that you know of and that initiative there?
Well, you know, OEMs doesn't tell you that much about what they're doing, but they all show that in their presentations. Of course, you have mentioned blockchain is very, very interesting. And the support to improve the development of renewable energies, especially in Spain, we have a lot of sun and a lot to do to deploy, is that the market, the end users, ask to have a warranty of the origin of the energy, which means that your counter is not going to guarantee that. It's the origin and the company that sells the energy who has to certificate this point. But if the customers we ask for it, I'm sure that the investors will develop massively.
Yeah, I think it will come. It's just a matter of time.
It's a matter of time.
So just imagine, so if there should be one winner here, and if you were the winner, that we went on a date, where would we go out for dinner to celebrate?
That's a good question. I think probably, in a restaurant.
Or the city?
In a city, I think, then we would go to Norway because it's e-mobility, major country. So let's go there, and there's some beautiful landscape, and also we can drive there with an electric car.
I like Norway, the fjords. That's a good idea.
We can go there also with route optimization.
Yeah, we'll be able to know exactly how to get there,
Yeah.
right? So obviously, not any meat at this restaurant.
So I think I'd take you on a little trip through the Ruhrgebiet. It's one of the, last year I took a trip with one of our co-founders, and we went to Switzerland. We rented a Hyundai Ioniq. Actually, we got to borrow it from Hyundai. And we got stuck in the Ruhrgebiet. And ever since, I've been wanting to go back there. So the reason why we got stuck is
do that.
In Germany, you have like so many different payment providers, and we just couldn't find a charge station where we could pay. So like we spent about 13 hours on the road, and we just made it to the German border.
Great.
So I think
I've got my bags packed already.
If for anything else, I'd just take you there to see how good the data is in Germany. Do a little bit of a work
a
date.
startup and somebody looking at data, right?
Yeah, you got to mix business with pleasure, you know.
All right. Ole!
Well, let me talk about an island, La Isla del Hierro, Hierro Island.
Wow, you really want to win, don't you?
It's amazing. It's a
I can guarantee definitely this accent has helped on a few points, I must say.
It's a paradise, and a lot of days of the year works just with renewables, because we have wind, we have sun, we have energy storage with a salt pool. That is a European project also that we are investing right now. But also we use the energy, the solar energy, when there is not demand enough and you have extra production, to take some water from a lake to a lake in the top of a mountain. So then when we need more power,
Hydro.
Right. So it's 100% renewables a lot of days of the year, and it's also a paradise.
It sounds like paradise. Okay, that makes it very hard. But we're coming towards the end, and I want a little bit of audience participation and help in figuring out exactly who the Hubject platform should choose. So is it e-mobility executive number 1? Who thinks that? 1? E-mobility executive number 2? Oh, or startup Chargery number 3? Hard choice there. So, what's that? So it's as the marketplace for having the various service providers, I'm impressed with all of your services, and that's definitely a guarantee. but choosing just one is too hard, so I will choose all three. Big group hug. No, I'm just kidding. Thanks, guys. All righty. Oh, thanks. All right, guys, that's it. The Intercharge dating game. Thank you very much to our 3 e-mobility executives.